busy is incredibly difficult, especially if you're trying to work in any creative field or medium. Like, it's just tough, especially because, it kind of costs money to live, just a little bit, So even if you want to create all these things, sometimes you gotta put it to the wayside just because, you gotta make money somehow. And that is why most creative professionals have some kind of day job. There's countless band musicians that I think I follow some of them on TikTok where they're like, yep, I just work at the grocery store, or I work at the gas station, and at night I go and play with my band, and in the morning I go back to my shift, and it's just how it works. And a lot of people in any of these creative industries have like an actual normal 9 to 5 where they go to work all the time, and for full, they work full time and get all their benefits and everything. Well, if it's available, and they have to sacrifice sometimes their creative art in order to live and experience life in other ways, because it is possible for these people to not have to do that if they sacrifice their social life or providing for a family or something like that. Can get away with being the starving artist in that sense, because it's just you, and you decide how much you need to live, and it gives you more freedom that way. But it just is like a give and take. You decide what is your priority. So, for example, if you really like making music, but you still want to go out with friends, hang out with family, and you still got work, you have to figure out what to sacrifice. And a lot of these creatives who just plug and plug away and they seem like workaholics, well, that's because they are workaholics and they don't really have a social life. They don't hang out with their friends. They don't hang out with their family. All they do is work, and then make that money that they have to in order to live and maintain their equipment and everything they need to do. And then they work on their craft, and that's what they do. Let's use Brandon Sanderson as an example. So it's interesting because following him, it is incredibly sweet, but at the same time it's kind of sad because he's explaining his schedule, and it's basically always inconvenient, just because he works late into the night, then he sleeps into the morning, and then he does his work, and he does make it for dinner, but if the kids have to go to school, he's asleep, and so it's all on the wife. It's my hot take, but obviously he works for them and it's not an issue, so it doesn't matter. But in this case, imagine if you did need to help out with taking the kids to school. Well, you can't just keep up that kind of routine for yourself because you have responsibilities. It makes it incredibly difficult, not impossible, just difficult. And sleep is good. Sleep is really healthy for you and important. So it's hard to just sacrifice on that, because it is around 8 hours of a day that are just go unused. I love how I get over and it starts going faster in the one lane, and I want to get back over, but if I do that, this lane will start going faster. I can never win. Anyway, it can be very difficult, and there's a lot of creative things that people want to do. They just don't make time and prioritize it. Myself, for example, I don't do that. I have no one to talk. it it's hard to decide what to prioritize unless you know what you really want. So for me, I've been trying to gain experiences and find meaningful connections in my life, and, like through relationships, friendships, family, and that's where I will never sacrifice. Unless, I mean, lately I've been having to just because of school and like work, but I'm not going to just drop seeing my friends, my boyfriend, my family. I'm not going to sacrifice that in order to make more time to do the things that I want to do. It's just not something I'm willing to do. Some people are, and even their loved ones are understanding because they're trying to complete this thing, and once it's completed, they can come hang out again or whatever it is. But it's just what you decide to prioritize. Some people prioritize schooling, kind of like myself. I will make sure all of my coursework is done before I do anything, I make sure all of the important ones are done before I do anything, fun, put it that way. Which is something I decided I needed to get all A's, I needed to do well, and so that's a priority for me, as well as making money. So if I'm working, unless I know I can reasonably take the day off and still pay for things, it's a priority, which then means where in this little bit of time when I'm not hanging out with people and I'm not doing school and I'm not working, when do I find time to create? And I'm sure many people fall into that kind of boat, especially as more and more responsibilities go onto the table. But it's just learning to balance, and then sometimes maybe you do need to prioritize certain things. For me, like I said, the connections, I find that the most valuable thing in my life, so I'm never giving that up. I might just, hang out a bit less for a while, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna go be so set and rigid to a schedule I make for myself that I can never hang out with people. I want to have some flexibility, but maybe I will just have to work a bit less, and that means I just can't pay for as many random expenses like going to concerts or whatever it is. Just can't do that for a bit, just so I can open up some time to work on the things I want to work on. I mean, obviously, best scenario is you're able to work and make money off the thing that you love doing, which obviously would be optimal and ideal. But currently, I have nothing completed to sell, so not much to make money off of at the moment. But yeah, being busy and trying to do all these things that you want to do can be hard. It's not impossible, and for some people, yeah, it'll be harder than others, just because responsibilities, opportunity, financial situations, yada yada yada. But it's possible to make it work, and it's just deciding what to prioritize is what at least I've come to find. And it's okay if priorities have to shift for a while, and people, even if I were to give up all of the time that I've been putting towards all of the connections that I've made, I were to take time to make sure that I could work on what I want to work on, I'm sure everyone would be supportive and understanding, as long as I don't go, reclusive forever, because then you can't hang out at all, and that's no fun, because I love hanging out with my friends and family. So yeah, something that's been